Hey, welcome back. It's been a long time since I've done a video, and a lot has changed. I don't think I've done a video in about 4 months, and so glad to be back with you. A lot has changed. If you've been watching my videos, I've had some challenges with my health and other things that I've walked through, and thankfully, the doctor, the VA in Baltimore, she was a really special person, was able to properly diagnose me and get me the treatment I needed. So I'm in a much better place now than I was a few months ago. Still got some challenges with my breathing and my lungs, but much better than when I was. And a lot of the pain that I was going through over the winter has subsided with the proper medication. So I am in a really good place, and I'm excited to still be among the living. And so I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that I'm able to share some thoughts with you tonight. About 2 years ago, I did a video on the why question, and I talk about, this idea of asking why. Why do certain things happen? Why do we experience illnesses? Why do we experience tragedy? Viktor Frankl, who spent a year or so in a concentration camp in Germany during the Holocaust, wrote a book. I believe it was called Man's Search for Meaning, and trying to get on top of why that magnitude of suffering took place. For me as an African American, why 400 plus years of slavery, at least in this part of the world, why starving kids in Africa, why AIDS, why cancer, so many different questions we can ask why about, why war, why, there's so many different whys. And one of the things that I've come to accept is that the why question for me is really I'll say it's a weak question only because it will not get answered here in the here and now. And in the time frame in which we live and experience, the whys will not be answered. So one of the things that I've been thinking about lately is that our why question, or I'll put it this way, the what is the answer to why. And this is what I mean when I say that. What has happened, in my case, in the last 2 years, whether it was with the death of my mom that was sudden, my illness, other very big challenges that have I've had to face in the last 2 years, I don't have a why as to why these things have happened, but what I do have is a what. To be able to name what has happened, what have I learned or what will I learn, what will I do with what has happened, and what will I become. So my what becomes the answer to my why. What has happened? What am I learning? What will I do? What will I become? Because that is really all we have left, is what will we do with what has happened. An example of that, when Franklin Roosevelt was president, was diagnosed with polio. He could have spent a lot of time asking, well, why did I get polio? I'm the president of the United States. Why am I sick? But instead of doing that, he decided to do something with that. He didn't stop being president. In fact, if anything, that very deadly disease empowered him to even become a better president. So his what became his why. What was he going to do with this diagnosis? Your what is your why. What is happening? What will you do? What are you learning? And what will you become? We can spend a lot of time crying over the whys, and not that our tears don't matter. Our tears are very significant and they're very powerful, but at some point we have to allow those tears to transform into raindrops that will give life to the seed of possibility that's next after what has happened. So maybe you're going through some very difficult thing. Maybe you've lost a loved one. Maybe you're dealing with a sickness. Maybe you have experienced a divorce. Maybe some significant loss has come into your life that you cannot explain, and it hurts. Hurting and pain comes to us, but as it comes to us, it's always prepared to give us a gift, some wisdom, some insight. It's never just there to make us hurt. That is not the purpose of our suffering. That is not the purpose of why we go through things. We are here for a season, for a period of life, for a moment. And I think sometimes what happens is that we have this unfortunate idea or belief that tough things should not happen. These bad things should never take place. But whoever told us that? Where do we get that idea from? If we look at history, we can walk throughout history and see that pain and struggle and suffering is just a part of the human drama. And we can spend a lot of time asking why, but we'll never get those answers. What we might want to consider doing is asking ourselves, what's next? What do I do with this? How do I move forward? This is one of the benefits of Stoicism for me, is that Stoicism is a philosophy that says you need to have a right perspective, a right thought, and as a result, a right action. And many of the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius and some famous people throughout history, were able to take the things that came to them, the clay that came to them, and to form something out of it. Almost like if you were to go back to the Genesis story, where God takes clay and forms Adam. If we were to make ourselves the God character in that story, for me, the question is, okay, what clay is in front of you? What's your situation? And what will you form out of it? What Adam story will you shape? What new creation will you form out of what has happened? And that becomes the solution or the response to our why. And maybe if we sort of dance with that a little bit, let that revelation knead into our spirit. When we have challenging moments, we're at a better place at responding in a way that's far more helpful than struggling with why. I hope this has helped. At least that has helped me. In the last 2 years, I've had to let go of my why. I wrestled with why for so long that I had to get to a point where I knew I'm not going to get an answer to this. I'm not going to get an answer as to why my mother died suddenly. I'm not going to get an answer as to why I was stricken with this disease that almost took my life. I'm not going to get an answer as to why I'm dealing with a series of other things. But what I can do is say, what has happened? What will I do? What am I learning? And what will I become as a result? Peace and blessings. It's been a while since I've shared a video. I'm sorry, my eye is a little squinty. The light is sort of flashing in my face here. This is my new place, and I'm excited about it. I feel at peace, and I'm really thankful for what Spirit is doing in my life in these last few weeks and few months. I look forward to what's next. Peace to all of you.